Welcome to another edition of Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. I'm your host, Justin Taylor, along with Bryan Toast Clark. Aaron's got volleyball tonight, got to take care of the kids. He's not going to be able to join us, so it's just me and Toast tonight. But we're going to have all your fantasy hockey gambling, talk categories. Let's talk Bangers League and a little bit of sports gambling. Stick with us here. Around the Ice, let's get it going. Well, Toast, it's that time of year. We're getting the end of the winter sports, spring sports starting up. Aaron's at volleyball tonight. I just got home for my first official debut as a basketball coach. Fifth, sixth graders. We led the whole game. We lost. I set up a final play, and I had my guy wide open backdoor on the inbounds pass. It got batted, and they ran down and got a layup at the buzzer. We lost by 3. It was tough. We were winning the whole game the final 2 minutes. We lost 33-30. It was actually a little bit better performance than I thought. We only had 2 practices, about half the players showed for each practice. So I was like, this is going to be we're just going to learn on the fly here for basketball. I know you got track coming up. So we've got a lot coming on. So everybody stick with us. We're going to try to stick to our usual Tuesday night, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, but make sure you're on the lookout. Hit that like, subscribe, and that notification button, because there are going to be some times where we're going to have to switch the show to some Wednesday nights here in the offseason to kind of work with everybody's schedule here as the regular Fantasy and Frames Wednesday shows, our football shows, are not going here in the offseason. A few of them will be starting back up here in the next month or so, so keep an eye on those. Toast, how are things going with you?
Yeah, great. It's good timing, JT. If we are going to switch an evening here, come the spring, because we do actually have football ending. One actually thing ends and another great thing actually starts and continues, and we'll just be getting into the fantasy hockey playoffs, but really is not. We're not that far off, man. We are right now in week 15. Most leagues actually go 19, 20, 21 weeks and enter into playoffs. So we are down to crunch time. A lot of trade deadlines are either just actually hitting now or getting ready to actually hit. So we can actually chat about that too. And then, even after the fantasy playoffs and the fantasy season ends, we're still going to actually be bringing you guys some content, because we're going to switch gears. We'll be talking about playoffs and NHL, and then also leading up to the draft there that will be in late in the summer. So we're gonna continue this train and keep it going all through the year leading up to next hockey season.
Yeah, before we get started tonight and jump into all our segments, we want to send out our thoughts and prayers to all those impacted by the fires down in Southern California. I used to live in San Diego, still have a bunch of friends down in San Diego, the California area, West Hollywood area, all that northern LA. So we just want to hope everybody is safe, that it can be safe. I know it's been just an absolute crazy tragedy. So our thoughts, prayers, condolences go out to everybody out there. Hopefully they get that under control as fast as they possibly can. As we mentioned before, this is Around the Ice podcast hosted by Fantasy and Frames. We're new to the show. They've had it on this year. It's usually a football centered channel. They're bringing in hockey, which we love, that they've asked us to come aboard here to kind of do some stuff in the offseason when football is done. So we appreciate Jorge and everybody at Fantasy and Frames having us on. Follow our hockey content on Fantasy and Frames. Please follow on the X at FIF Hockey. Fifth Hockey is where you can follow us. Also, follow at Fantasy and Frames. You can follow me on the X at JT Orange. Follow Toast at Toast Clark. That's where we put out all his Toast takes, all his betting stuff. And, just follow us for funny, witty content, and us sometimes complaining when we're watching games about terrible officiating or calls. So you can follow us and banter with us back and forth there. Obviously, any kind of fantasy questions, hockey questions, betting, trade moves, any of that stuff, feel free to send that over there. we'll use that stuff on the show. We'll answer you back. So just always make sure you hit us up over there. You can always go back if you miss us live on YouTube or on the X. You can always rewatch our show on our YouTube channel. You can always go back also on Spotify, wherever else you listen to your podcast. You can listen to us the next day, catch up with what we've talked about. There's a lot of stuff. We talk about stuff that's happened that night, gambling that night, but we also bring up stuff that's happening throughout the week as well as trends. So you can always listen to us the next day. You don't feel like you missed out on a lot of stuff. So feel free to go back and listen and rewatch on those. Like I said before, please go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else where you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to us. If you can give us a review, a positive one, hopefully, that would be fantastic. We'd love to hear from you. Any kind of comments, that kind of stuff would be great. That always helps us out. And again, any questions, anything you want to hear more about, let us know. You guys are who we're here for. We want to kind of make this show however you guys want to hear, whatever helps you the most, whether it's gambling content, whether it's fantasy content, or just talking straight hockey, because we love all that. We do all that on the show. So make sure you jump in there, kind of tell us what you want to hear, what you want to do. Toast, I think it's that time. Let's go around the ice.
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Hey!
So this is our Around the Ice segment where we kind of talk about everything going on in the NHL, games happening tonight, different trends, things. Toast, what do you got for us to start us off tonight?
Well, I tell you, JT, we got some games in progress right now that we should probably discuss. Right now, there's a close game going on between Panthers and Devils. 1-1 in the third period. We got 11:27 left in the game. Nico Hischier actually put in his 20th goal of the season. Really, I just love the way the Devils are actually balanced on those first two lines there. I mean, you got Bratt and you got Hughes and you got Meyer and you got Hischier as well. They are, I would say they're real top heavy. But man, they got really damn good defensemen as well with Hamilton and then Luke Hughes. They've got steady goaltending actually happening now with Markstrom. You got to love the Devils. The Panthers, they're still they're the team to beat, man. So watch that game here. But JT, I can actually go through some toast takes. I could even go through right now. We got some 8:00 games that just started. What would you like to hear?
Yeah, let's talk about some of these games that just got underway, just ended the first period. We don't have any late night games tonight, which is unusual. Usually we have 2 or 3 going on late night, but 9:00 Eastern was the latest start tonight. Went on before we on air. Colorado and the Rangers currently 1-1 in that game. And the hockey club, Utah, I like to call them the Yeti. They're up 2-1 on Montreal at the end of one on those ones. The Rangers making some changes. We've said they need to start shipping people off. They're 1-1 in this game. What do you think about what's going on with both these teams?
Yeah, let's talk about these, JT. So Shesterkin, he's back for the Rangers. All right, he had I think around a 10-day stint on the IR. He missed 4 or 5 straight starts there. He's 2-0 since his return. They beat some good teams. Hey, New Jersey, one of them, which you just mentioned, at home, and then they actually went on to road to Vegas and actually beat them as well. Man, that's 2 really solid wins for the Rangers. And good sign. They've only allowed a combined 3 goals in that span in the last 2 games. And they've screwed around now and actually won 4 of 6. They're looking a lot better, man. They're 4-1-1 in that span. So they're winning with some good defense and some goaltending. Really, they're playing an Avalanche team tonight, man. They're just rolling. They're up to 26 wins this season after starting off really rough to start the season, man. So if you take that out, they've been one of the hottest teams in AHL over the past month and a half to 2 months. You get a guy like Blackwood in a trade from San Jose, and all he's actually done since he got there to be in the goalie of the Avalanche, man, is a .925 save percentage. He's been dynamite. Devin Taves is a guy you got to watch out for with Colorado. Back on that blue line, he's got 3 goals and 3 assists and 6 points in the last I think 5 games with 17 shots on goal. But this is a game tonight where you want to know, Can the Rangers actually go in there and actually have a statement win versus Colorado? That would actually make them 5-1-1 in their last 7, and maybe, just maybe, they can get this back on track. And let's pivot over here to Montreal and Utah. The Canadians, one of the hottest teams in the league, man. You gotta love what the Canadians are actually doing. What Montreal is actually doing. Sorry, I said Montreal. What Columbus is actually doing. Sorry, Columbus and Montreal, 2 surprise teams, man, and both of them are unbelievably hot. Columbus is what I actually meant to say. They won a 3-2 shootout tonight versus Philly. But the Canadians, man, 7-2-1 their last 10. Hey, this is JT. We talked about it before in our preseason discussions. They were not going to be good this year. All right. We actually knew they had some young talent, Suzuki. But after that, we didn't really think a whole lot. They go out and actually get Patrick Laine. He's actually been out for a couple of games with an illness, but man, he is back. And Cole Caulfield, man, that guy is probably on pace for 45 to 50 goals. And JT, I don't know if you actually ever watch any Montreal games, but Lane Hudson, man, the defenseman, the rookie defenseman, you got to put him on your radar. And I want you to look up right now, if you could, to see what his odds are to win the Calder Trophy for the league's top rookie. He is lightning fast. I've watched him now 3 or 4 different games this season, man. They are just they are so unbelievably lucky to have that guy. He is a power play machine. Love that guy. Utah, they've been scuffling of late, and you got to like the Canadians tonight. Now, right now, I'm just seeing the Canadians. They are up. Let's see. Canadians are actually winning, losing. What are they actually doing? They're down 2-1 after 1, and 14-3 in the shots. Utah advantage, so it has been one-sided so far. Canadians are lucky to only be 1 goal down.
Yeah, Toast, you're right on it. Lane Hudson right now is the second best odds, or I guess second best odds to win it. Macklin Celebrini from San Jose, obviously the leader at -290. Lane Hudson +320 to win.
And then where's Michkov at?
Michkov's number 3 at +500, and then it's a huge difference. Everyone else, Dustin Wolf from Calgary is +3,100. Askarov from the Sharks is +15,000. And I think it's Sablakov from the Islanders. I always mess his name. Maxim.
Not going to work here.
Yeah, he's like +15,000. So it doesn't. Yeah, so it's basically a 3-horse race between Celebrini, Hudson, and Michkov right now. But Hudson +320. Michkov +500, and Celebrini, as we expected at the beginning of the year, leading the way at -290.
Yeah, looking at Lane Hudson right now, JT, and I know he's not really on our docket to speak about tonight, but hey, 3 goals, 30 assists, 33 points in 43 games for the rookie. And I tell you what, man, plays 23 minutes of time on ice. Again, you watch him play, all right? Watch him actually play. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, this guy is so unbelievably fast, got quick hands as well. I went and picked up his younger brother. He was actually drafted, I think, 43rd overall in the 2024 entry draft. I picked him up in our Dynasty League, and I watched some video on him. He looks almost every bit as good as Lane. So he'll be in the league hopefully next year, and that's going to be fun to watch. Those guys actually eventually play against one another. But yeah, go get you some Lane Hudson.
Yeah, we got Jamie M jumping in here. Says Kraken won yesterday. Nice delight. And Kraken 4-2 winners over the Penguins tonight. So nice little win there for the Kraken, as they lost 6-2 to the Wings, but we're coming off a 6-2 win against Buffalo. So they've won 2 out of the last 3 for them as well. My Red Wings on the other side, after getting the Kraken win, they've since they made some changes with the head coaches and other things, they've been little bit of boost. They've been looking a lot better. Well, they got work tonight. The Sharks come in 6-3 win at the Joe Louis Arena. 6-3, they get the win. Ton of goals given up in the third period in this game. If you were going for the over, you were all over. It was 2-1 going into the third period, and then they got a 4-2. San Jose outscored the Detroit Red Wings down the stretch. We've kind of talked about all year. Detroit just not doing what we thought they would do. They just haven't been able to put up the offense. The goaltending's been a little questionable. But I tell you what, San Jose, the record's not great, but they've been fun to watch.
Yeah, JT, I will give you props there for the Wings, man. Coming into tonight, the Wings have been the hottest team in the league over the past 6 games. I think they've won them all. Since the coaching change, they've actually had only lost 1 game, and that was the initial game that he actually came up with the same day. I think he was announcing they had a game, and their power plays has been unbelievable. I think they're all the way up to second in the league in their power play percentage as well. Tonight, if you look at the Toast Takes tonight, I actually put out there, this was my parlay, and I actually parlayed the over 5.5 in this game. Which I was shocked it was over 5.5. And I put a Patrick Kane point in there as well, which he did, got his point. And it was a nice little hefty placement I actually put on there and actually won that. But Billy Ahuso is not so good-o. And then
No.
also, too, hey, they're a little banged up. The Detroit is at goal. And we actually know that. We don't really want Huso in goal if you're a Detroit fan that often. But then on the other end there, man, for the Sharks, Georgiev, he's awful, right? So that was an over. That was an easy over for me, over 5.5, and ended up going to 9 goals. So that was a nice little hit.
Yeah, the Wings, like you said, on a big 7-game winning streak before the loss tonight, got them over 500 for the first time in a long time this season. Got them over 500. They still are second to last in the Atlantic with just 44 points, currently tied with the Canadiens at 44. Last in the Atlantic is Buffalo with 37 points. They're still down their ways, both only 1 point behind Ottawa and 3 points behind the Boston Bruins. So even though struggle a little bit to start off the season, still in the mix, plenty of season to go. And like you said, Columbus, a team we didn't expect a lot out of, playing inspired hockey. They're 4th in the Metro right now, 21-17 and 6 in the 44 games, 48 points out of them. They've won 5 straight from the Blue Jackets. JT, been nice.
Yeah, and here's the deal. That's with the Blue Jackets being what they are, and also Montreal. That's why I like Lane Hudson for that Calder, because Montreal's games are going to matter, man. They're going to matter, and he's going to play meaningful hockey down the stretch. Celebrini, there's no doubt Celebrini is actually a really great player. I mean, he's had a really, really good, fantastic season. You said that San Jose, they play teams tough. They're kind of like the Blackhawks of last year, not of this year, but of actually last year. But that's a bad team. And so you do wonder, man, if Hudson can really, really actually get there and let's say get close to 70 points this season for a rookie defenseman. I like that odds at plus 320.
Not a bad place to sprinkle a little money, and great transition. Let's talk about a little gambling segment here, boys. Let's show this man his money.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
So let's talk about a little gambling odds, Toast. Usually we try to jump in, give you the late night games, what we like. Obviously, games have already started tonight. So let's talk about some of your Toast takes. What you have on tonight? What's been hidden lately, and what you like here coming up?
Yeah, so I've really been, again, you'll see on Toast Takes every day. I'll, for the most part, every single day, I'll put these out there. And lately, what I've been doing is just doing these 3-leg anytime goal lotto picks. All right. And been doing those. Me and my brother's actually been putting them in every single day. Over the past 2 weeks, we've actually had a lot of luck. You got to accept the fact you may go 4 or 5 days with actually hitting a bet, but you're only maybe putting these in at $4 or $5 a hit. You're trying to get them anywhere from plus 8,000 to plus 10,000. So you're putting in $5 to win 400, 450, somewhere around there. You're hoping for an early cash out, right? Maybe if those first 2 goals can actually go, you actually go into an evening game. They offer you a nice little cash out. But tonight, I actually had a 3-pick parlay that's still alive. We got Andre Palat for the New Jersey Devils, and right now he has not actually scored a goal. There's only been 2 goals scored in that game. There's only 3:54 left, so odds are this probably is not going to go. And then Ross Colton, who's actually been a great prize for Ross Colton in a Colorado Avalanche. You can always get him around plus 350. He's got really, really good deployment. He's scored, I think, 13 or 14 goals this season as well on a team that scores a bunch. So, But then Pavel D, I never can actually pronounce his last name, so I actually call him Pavel D. But for Vegas Golden Knights, had him as the third player on that card, and that is already went. He scored 2 tonight. So right now, I'm actually 1 of 3 so far, still alive on a ticket that actually is plus 7,700. So, but again, I already told you my 2-pick parlay at plus 136 with a Patrick Kane alternate point over. And over 5.5, that's already hit. And I actually put a sizable amount on that. So I'm already looking good. And that's going to reload me for some money here. So I can go ahead and start feeding in that everyday $5 bet for a 3-leg anytime goal scorer.
Yeah, Toast. I had a nice little JT parlay, same game parlay a couple nights ago, Friday against the Blackhawks, Red Wings. Huge matchup there as far as Blackhawks and Red Wings fans are concerned. I took the over in that one, 5.5. It went to 8. It was a 5-3 Red Wings win. I just missed on it though, because I had I went with Larkin instead of Kane at the last second with a point, and I had DeBrincat with a point, and I had Raymond with a point as well in that one. That one was about a plus 350, and I just missed it by the 1 point. Larkin, everybody seemed like they got a point in that game for the Red Wings, but Larkin. And then Kaner, I think, had 3 assists in that game. So just missed out on that one. It was one I liked a lot, but didn't hit. That was one of the ones I put in that wasn't huge odds. Usually I put in super long odds. That one I did not. Just missed out on that one.
Yeah, absolutely, JT. I mean, keep putting them in. Again, love these 3-leg anytime goal scoring props, but I also do like going pretty heavy on a 2-legger that may just be over plus money, right? So you really feel good about that. But JT, there's 2 games I want to talk about in the betting section here. That are tomorrow. The only 2 games on the slate tomorrow. Let's talk about those. Carolina at Buffalo. That's your early game at 5 o'clock. Man, the Sabres, they're scoring a lot of goals right now. All right. So they went on they were the worst team in hockey there for a long time. They had lost 13 in a row. Then they went on a nice little run here, and they've kind of leveled off here a little bit. But I like them actually hosting the Hurricanes tomorrow. And the Hurricanes are going to turn to Peter Kochetkov in goal. He's got a 900 save percentage somewhere around there. But guys like Zucker and Quinn and Dahlin and Thompson and Peterka, they've all actually averaged over a point per game in the last 5 games. I like the over in this game at 5.5. It may be an alternate over at 5.5. But go ahead and take that, because I went back and actually looked at these teams. They have played several times since 2017. I'm saying probably 10, 11, 12 times. The over here at the 5.5 has only went under 6 goals, or so the under 5.5 has only went twice since 2017. You can get the over 5.5 alternate line at minus 140. For tomorrow's game. That's a nice parlay piece. Okay, minus 145 over 5.5. Carolina Buffalo.
Toast, you give us a nice numbers there, going way back 2017. They've only been under twice. I like that a lot.
And JT, that's a lot of games they played too. I mean, they scored in bunches against one another.
Yeah. What other game you like? There's one that you've got picked up here that you're jumping on for tomorrow.
Yep. Have this be your other parlay piece. You could put these 2 games together. All right. So Edmonton at Minnesota, 7:30. Man, you got to love the way Edmonton's actually winning hockey games right now. They can do it any which way. They went into the Hawks. It wasn't too difficult. Actually beat them 4-3. The Hawks actually played them pretty tough, because that's all they do to good teams. Good teams, they played really, really tough. And average to bad teams, they act like they never played hockey before. But let's get off the Blackhawks. Edmonton, actually, they won 1-0 last night versus LA. And man, Stuart Skinner was awesome. He was great in goal. It is surprising to me how Minnesota has actually been able to weather the storm since losing Kaprizov to injury, man. He's been out a long time. And they are 7-3 in their last 10. They're getting carried, JT, by, I mean, who names their kid Mats? Not Matt, Mats. Mats Zuccarello, okay? And his buddy Matt Boldy. So you got Mats and you got Matt. But nevertheless, those guys have been on fire. They've been carrying that team while Kaprizov's been out. Marco Rossi, the young guy, I think he's 23 years old as well. He's been awesome. This is another one that trends kind of like the Carolina Buffalo game. Again, went back, and these two teams actually play each other a lot. Okay, since 2019, these teams have played in track meets going head to head. JT, the over 5.5 at -125 looks juicy, regardless of how the goaltending has actually been. If you go back since 2019, man, these teams are scoring. They're putting up 7, 8, 9 goals against one another consistently. So I like both overs 5.5 on both these games. One at -145, -1 at 125. You parlay those two together, you could probably get them probably around +160. That's probably gonna be my play for tomorrow.
Yeah, Toast, I like that. And just to kind of give the people a little heads up, so there's only 2 games tomorrow. I looked ahead to the Thursday night games. I tell you what, I like the Jets at home against the Kraken on Thursday night. The Jets have, we talked about all year. They've just been on absolute fire. You look at what they're doing tonight, 6-0 at home in the third period against Vancouver right now. And my guy, Kyle Connor, straight hat trick in the first period. 3 goals in the first period for Kyle Connor. They're up 6-0 overall right now in the third. They've been on fire. Hellebuck is just been lights out. I'm going to be looking at throwing a Connor goal and a Hellebuck, looking at where he's got for shots on goal, saves in that one for him, and a Winnipeg win. I like them in that game on Thursday night. Couple ones I was looking at. Oilers Avalanche is going to be interesting to see what the over-under is on that. Both those teams have been on fire. We know they've got insane amount of offensive players on both those teams. I like that game to be high scoring in Colorado on Thursday after both of them having the night off on Wednesday night. So that's another game that's going to be on my radar as well. And I tell you another one that's going to be interesting. The Blue Jackets at home against the Sharks. Blue Jackets, like we said, won 5 in a row. They've looked really good. The Sharks coming off a big win against the Red Wings tonight. I'm gonna be looking at some point scorers in that game, and looking at it, maybe over goals in that if we can get that one at like 5.5. I like the idea. I think we can maybe get a high scoring game with some points in that one too. So those are just 3 games that kind of jumped out at me on the Thursday night slate that I'm going to keep an eye on when those odds come out.
Yeah, that is going to be an awesome game to watch. All right, everybody's like, well, hey, it's the Sharks. How exciting can it actually be? You got 2 young teams going against one another. You got 2 young stars there as well, and Celebrini and also Marchenko for Columbus. What's there not to like? It's going to be set at 6.5. There's no doubt about that. 6.5, probably like plus 110, 115, probably. The minus 5.5 alternate over line will probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of minus 145. It'll be a little bit higher, but nevertheless, that's going to be a fun game to watch. And JT, I got bad news. I did not win the bet tonight because guess what? The Patrick Kane alternate assist, they must have taken away. Kane does not get a point, and he had the assist earlier in the evening there, and I want to go ahead and look at it right here. Yeah, it was a stat correction. It was on the goal by Tarasenko with Gustafsson, and it was Kane with the alternate assist. Now they actually changed it to Joe Veleno, and I lose tonight. But hey, we got tomorrow, man.
Salty.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's keep things moving along. We got a new segment we're here. Let's bring it to you.
Hey, as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
Let's do that hockey. So here we're going to talk about some players that are hot and cold, some waiver wire moves, some different hockey, fancy hockey moves that you can make. Toast, what do you got to start things off for us here?
Well, I got some players that may be less than 50% owned on either Fantrax or Yahoo or ESPN, whatever platform you actually use. Most of these guys are going to be well under the 50%, but they got some value, man. And they're on a little bit of a hot streak right now. Okay, so these are guys you actually want to be targeting. After the podcast, go out there and actually look, see if you can actually pick them up. I'd highly recommend. And JT, I'll ask right now, all the listeners right now, I'll ask, please, if you actually could, maybe even pause right now, go on your YouTube feed or wherever you're actually at and just hit that like button. hit that like button for us. That'll actually go a long way for us. JT and I will actually really appreciate it. So first player I want to talk about on a waiver wire ad, let's go ahead and talk about Matt Coronado, the right wing from Calgary. Only 41%, man. He's getting great deployment right now with Coleman and also Mikhail Backlund as well. He's on line 2 there. He's also getting power play 1. He's got 5 points in his last 6 games. He's averaging 3 goals, shots on goal on that span. And what I like is the fact that he's still only 22 years old, and he's got 73 career games. So that means if you are actually in a dynasty format and you actually value minor leaguers in a dynasty format, he's going to be a minor leaguer at least for the rest of this season, if not beyond, depending on how many games in your criteria actually meet for the minor league eligibility. I know JT and I actually play in one league where it's 200 games played before you actually lose minor eligibility, where you can go up and down on a roster. I know our league actually is only 82, so he's at 73, so he's looking pretty good there as well. And he's in the last year of his entry level contract, so I'm predicting this guy again for those cap leagues. All right, those dynasty cap leagues. Maybe I'm guessing JT, and maybe we'll write this down. We'll see if we're actually right, because it's going to be one of those shows we have come August, September. We'll find out. But I'm thinking he's going to get 6 years. Probably won't get the full 8-year max contract. We're actually going to talk about that hockey likes to hand out, but probably a 6-year deal. Thinking right around the neighborhood of $6.5 million AAV. But Matt Coronado with Calgary, right wing eligible. He's definitely somebody you want to pick up, even in a redraft league right now. And
yeah, he's one of those guys. If you got some injuries in your redraft league, he's a nice guy to get in there and play and pick up and get in for a few weeks until some of your guys get back. If you got a couple guys on injury reserve right now, you're looking for a guy that's a little bit hot. He's a nice pickup in a redraft league for that reason.
Yeah, and right wing traditionally could actually be a thin position, pretty top heavy. So more reason to maybe go out there and actually look at Coronado. Again, only 41% owned. I think he'll probably be out there in most leagues. So I'd say go check him out tonight, guys. Another one here. Now this guy's gonna be available, all right, because he's available in our deep Bangers League, Dynasty Bangers League, and that is the old man, Jordan Staal for Carolina. Man, I didn't know he was actually still in the league until last year, but 26% owned.
I know he was on the list, and I was like, what?
Hey, you like out there? Yeah, he's alive. But hey, he's been on a heater, man. 5 goals, 3 assists in his last 5 games, averaging 16.5 minute time on ice in that span. Here's what I like, JT, is Staal is playing on line 3, and he's got Jordan Martinook, which is fine. Martinook's a nice player. He'll actually be sneaky with some goals of late. But Andrei Svechnikov, they dropped him down to line 3 to really kind of balance out those top 3 lines. What a line mate to actually have on line 3, Svechnikov coming down there, man. And Staal has actually taken every bit of advantage. He's also got like 20 hits in those 7 games, so he's going to get you the hits in the category leagues there as well. So he does a little bit of everything. I really like him. Carolina, if you can pick him up tonight, do so, because Carolina's actually got a Wednesday game and they also got a Friday game this week. And that is very, very valuable considering our heavy nights are tonight, Thursday, and Saturday, meaning you're going to have full rosters already. So you're just looking to actually stream in guys that play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So having Staal play Wednesday, Friday, that's perfect. They go ahead and get Staal, 26% owned. He will definitely be available in your league.
Yeah, Toast, nice little tidbit here from Jamie says, only 8% rostered on Yahoo is Coronado. So way low on roster soup compared to Fantrax, which is usually a little more dynasty driven, where Yahoo's usually a little more redraft. So that's a great pickup. Go out there and grab Coronado in your league. Thanks, Jamie. It's a nice little note right there.
Yeah, and again, at least stream them, right?
Yeah. So it's a great streaming option for this week or next week if you got somebody injured. I know I've been looking at a couple of those spots where I've got some guys out a few weeks trying to fill in some holes. It's a nice little gap. I went and looked at him in our Dynasty League to see if he was out there. Of course, he was not. Long live the note. Already had him snagged up on the roster. Shocker. He's usually all
He
over it.
always
So
does that.
you got one more for us here, Toast?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Morgan Frost, man. Center, Philadelphia Flyers, 32% owned. Frost is finally coming into his own, man. So he's got great deployment. All right. For the first time in his career, he's on line one centering it. And he's got great players like Tippett, even though Tippett's kind of cold right now. That's all right. And he's got Konechny as well, and we know how great Konechny is. So Frost, only 25 years old, got goals in 3 straight games coming into tonight. I don't think he scored tonight, but he did score last night, and he was on my 3-leg card, and he was the only one that actually hit. And he hit early, so that was kind of frustrating. But, I mean, so the Flyers, like I said, they've been waiting for him to step up his game. I think he's finally showing right now that he's actually ready to take this deployment, maybe never look back. That's what they're hoping. That's actually what they're wanting, giving him that type of deployment. And he looks again, since he's taken that, he's taken every bit of advantage. So he's one of those players where he chose to actually, and the team chose, and he chose anyway, to go ahead and do a bridge deal, JT, which is a 2-year bridge deal. If they can't come to an agreement, or they actually think they're ready to kind of sign that 4 or 5, 6-year deal, or even an 8-year deal, they actually do those 2-year bridge deals. And he's on one of those at 2.1 million AAV. This is his last season. I think he's going to sign a 4-year deal again. Mark this on your calendar when we actually go there. Remember what I actually said, but I'm saying 4-year deal for Morgan Frost, somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.5 to 5 million AAV this offseason. For those in caps leagues, that's probably what you can pencil that in, especially if you want to kind of guesstimate, right, what he's going to be if you're trying to make that money fit underneath the cap for next year's roster.
Nice, I like it. Anytime you get those young guys, and especially if they're getting you points. If you're in deep league, like if you are leagues, man, if you get a guy, I just looked him up in our Bangers league. He's averaging just under 3 points a game, which is not too shabby at all.
Yeah, and I think and Jamie just said he's an Adam, So Frost. Honestly, I think Jamie has said is he good for points leagues or categories or Frost? I think you can go ahead and add him for both. Of course, in the category leagues, there he's going to get you those face-off wins, right? So that's going to be really valuable as well. I think in either format is fine, and especially like if you're in a dynasty league, right? If you're in a dynasty league, he's only 25 years old. He's finally getting his first big shot. I would definitely say the time to Adams now.
Yeah, and I was looking him up just to kind of see what he was doing as far as points scored in our Bangers league, and right now he's got 121 points on the season, 2.98 points per game. So he's been solid. So it's a solid performance. He's got 31 hits, 32 blocks. So he's a guy's giving you a little bit of something else. 75 shots on goal, 14 PIMs, 10 goals, 13 assists. 41 games,
Yep.
So not too shabby so far. So, that definitely a guy you want to go out there and take a look at, possibly picking up. I like that. I like that one a lot, Toast. Good call right there.
Yeah,
do
JT,
we Toast? We got some players that are hot and cold. Some guys that you're looking to get in your lineups, get out of your lineups. Who's kind of bringing it up late, and who is definitely on the cold streak?
Yeah, I got 2 hots and a cold. Okay, hots are a little bit more fun to actually talk about. Excuse me, than those colds. But man, and every time I talk about this guy, it just makes me sick to my stomach because it's an ex-Blackhawk. And he would look good in a Blackhawk sweater again. But Brandon Hagel for Tampa Bay, he is on a hot streak right now. In his last 4 games, he's got 5 points in his last 4 games, 2 goals in that span, 17 shots on goal, 4 hits, 7 blocks as well. He's got 7 points in his last 8 games. Here's why I like Hagel. Versatile. He can play line 1, line 2, line 3, power play 1, power play 2. He does a little bit of everything. He's so unbelievably valuable, man. I will say the Hawks did get a pretty good deal for him. All right. I went back and I was taking a look, and we got first-round picks in both 23 and 24. So that gave us 2 first-round picks in both those last 2 drafts. And we turned 23's NHL entry draft pick, number 19 overall, into Oliver Moore. And Oliver Moore's Daubers got him ranked number 29 prospect overall. So good there. And then we get Sasha Boisvert, who is at North Dakota right now. And he has 18 points in 21 games. And North Dakota is a hell of a program. He's drafted 19th overall in the 2024 draft. So we got a lot of good talent for Hagel, but man, what a player he is. And also what makes him so unbelievably valuable. JT, he signed an 8-year deal at $6.5 million AAV. Right now, Hagel's he's pacing for over 90 points this season with goals and assists. And they got him signed through the year 31-32. That's $6.5 million here in about 3 years. It's going to look unbelievable. I mean, it's going to feel like a $10 million contract.
I was just gonna say, like, usually you want to get rid of a guy like that because you're like, oh, by the time we're any good, he's gonna be too expensive for us. By the time he's actually, gonna hit, we're gonna have to move on from him. But he's actually a reasonable price. You're like, man, that's not that bad.
Yeah,
might have to go back and try to get him here in a couple of years, but he's cheap. He's cheap for that.
Yeah. If you're in a cap league and you actually want to get Hagel, you better be prepared to actually give up quite a bit. And if you actually have him, man, you don't actually let him go on a shooter. Actually, it's a king's ransom because, again, that cap is going to be everything, man. And it's such a low number for a guy of his stature, and especially the players he gets to play with. So Hagel, he's one of my hot, man. But I'll tell you what, we go hot and we actually talk about a guy who's cold. And this is a player who actually started off the season hot. He was the hottest player in the league, man, and all of October and part of November.
This is Aaron's guy.
Yeah.
Aaron's guy here.
Yep, Martin Necas. And he, again, for the Carolina Hurricane, he's cold right now. So get these numbers, JT. 50 points in 44 games. You're like, man, a hell of a season. Yeah, but he's only got 3 goals and 10 assists in his last 22 games. Just fell off a cliff. Now, those aren't awful, but, I mean, based on what he was doing, I mean, he fell off a cliff. So here's what concerns me about Necas. His time on ice compared to October and November, and now from December to January, it's fell off by almost 3 minutes a game. That is, you don't understand how much that is. So you're on the ice for about 45 seconds. That's 4 shifts a game less. That's huge amount of numbers.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That is a lot. That is like football players saying, you know what, a running back saying, I averaged, early in the season, in the first half of the season, I averaged 21 carries a game. And then all of a sudden, he's still actually their first option, and he actually hasn't got hurt, and no other RB2 to actually come up and take a spot. And for no reason at all, he's actually averaging 11 carries a game. That's about what it's equivalent to. And 3 minutes is a lot, man. So no report of injury. There's no reason for that. He's just in a slump right now. I think owners probably wish they may have actually tried to cash in on that unbelievably high streak that he actually had to start the season. But, I mean, honestly, I think he's going to be all right. He's still 10th in the league with 35 assists. He's still got youth on his side as well. But you were just riding the high, and now you're going to ride the cold streak for a bit.
Yeah. And Toast, we've talked about this numerous times. Hockey's a long season. You're going to get those highs. You're going to get those lows. It's constantly moving. It's adjusting. It's a lot of games. You're going to get some cold streaks for guys, a week or 2 or 3 weeks in a row where you're just like, what happened to him? And then they're going to come back and get you a hot streak again. I think he's got a few hot streaks back in him, but it has been brutal, especially if he was carrying you early in the year in fantasy and you were feeling fantastic about him. He has definitely not helped you the last couple of weeks, but you got to hope he's got that hot streak back in him and kicks back up here shortly. But it has been a little bit of a brutal streak, especially for teams that were counting on him.
Yeah. And the last player, another hot player, man. And he's hot because of just, deployment. I mean, that's helping out a ton. But Ricard Raquel out of Pittsburgh, man. I mean, you get to play with Sid Crosby, right? You're like, oh, man, I get to play with Sid Crosby. Well, he's making the most of it. He's damn near on a 40-goal pace. So over his past 14 games, 9 goals and 7 assists. And he already got 22 goals in 46 games this season. He scored 34. I went and checked. He scored 34 back with the Anaheim Ducks back in 17-18. So he is shooting a career high of 19%. For him, that's not sustainable. He's far less than that actually as a career shooter. But again, you get to play with Crosby, man. Owners better hope that Crosby don't get hurt, and they probably won't. But nevertheless, let's say you actually got an injury, then Raquel is going to fall off the shelf, man. So this is a guy where Raquel's been in the league for a while. I would say that if you can trade him and actually get anybody a little bit younger and actually that's got good deployment and has got some decent pedigree, you have to entertain that. This is especially in keeper leagues, right? In keeper leagues, he's definitely not going to be somebody you're keeping. Dynasty leagues, you could sell high right now. But if you're not, hey, ride it while it's hot right now. And man, he's probably the hottest goal scorer in the league right now.
Yeah, Toast. He's already got the 4th highest goals of his entire career. Well, the guy's 31. He's been in the league since full time since 2014. This is the 4th most goals he's ever scored in his career. He's already outscored last year. He's got 38 points this year in 45 games. He had 37 in 70 games last year. Like you said, the 19.8% highest percentage of his career. Second, last time he was even this close to this kind of totals was 2016 for the Ducks. 33 goals, 18 assists on 18.6% shooting, and he backed that up with 34 goals, 35 assists for 69 points, his highest in his career, 14.8% shooting, and that was 2017. Those were by far his 2 best seasons ever in his career, and this right now is he's on pace to have his 3rd best year of his career at age 31. So yeah, like you said, you can sell high on him right now. I think now's the time to do it.
I got 2 words for Rickard Rakell, or 2 anyway, two names: Sid Crosby. That's all there is to say about that.
Can make a guy look pretty good, right?
Oh yeah.
If I could stand on skates, I could probably get a goal standing next to Sid at some point.
Yeah, I mean, my brother used to say all the time, I always wonder, why didn't hockey teams just put sumo wrestlers in net, just lay them down? You know what I mean? So play some good defense, just lay those guys down in front of the net. I mean, and try to score 4 goals a game, and you're going to win most games. That's kind of how I feel about Rakell as well right now. So just show up, man.
All right, time for our Dynasty segment where we look at some of the brighter stars coming up throughout the league.
And you, young Skywalker, we will watch your career with great interest.
So in this segment, we talk about Dynasty guys, like we said, guys from the NCAA, OHL, AHL, some of the guys in the minors, some guys you need to be looking at if you're in Dynasty, especially leagues that you have spots for guys in the minors that you can put down there, or if you want to put guys on your list of guys to draft, if you're in shallower leagues where they don't let you hold a lot of guys coming up through the system. This is where you mark these guys down, put them on your list, and draft them when you are available. Toast, who we got tonight?
Oh, I mean, if you're plugged into Dynasty hockey, and you're actually plugged into prospects as well, everybody's heard of this guy, right? And he is going to be a household name starting next year, and odds are he'll be a superstar in the league. And I know that's a lot to actually put on him, who is a 19-year-old, but Ivan Demidov, and the 19-year-old out of the St. Petersburg, out of the KHL in Russia. JT, not many guys 19 years old play in the KHL and put up the numbers he's putting, because that's a man's league. All right. That's a man's professional league. And 19-year-olds just don't usually put these kind of numbers up. 14 goals, 18 assists, 32 points in 43 games. That's trust me, that is a lot to 43 games for a 19-year-old.
In the KHL. That's
in the KHL. I mean, that is a lot. You'll see the same thing in Swedish Hockey League as well. Same thing. If they're putting up big numbers there, then you actually have something. But the 5th overall selection in the 2024 NHL entry draft, cannot believe, including one of the Blackhawks, 4 other teams passed him up. Montreal gets him with the 5th pick, man.
Remember this. We got to go back. Remember you sitting there waiting in your basement, right where you're sitting. We're sitting there waiting on the hockey draft, and we were talking about him, and we're talking about him. We're like, dude, this kid's badass. And there was all this talk about, would he come over? Were teams scared off from him? There was talk about whatever that was outside of hockey, that teams were a little scared about him. And we're like, why don't you take this kid? He's worth the chance. He's worth any side shit that might be happening that might hold him up. Like, this kid's got major talent. I remember me and you were looking at it like, we're like, oh, I think these teams are gonna there's gonna be some teams that are gonna look back and go, we effed up. We definitely should have taken him, and he is looking to be everything that the pundit said. Like, if this guy shows out like we think he can, this guy could be amazing. He is on that track right now to look absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get him in our Dynasty Bangers draft in our draft there. I got Michkov and Demidov, and I had Marchenko and want to get Voronkov and get all of the OVs there, But I want to read to everybody real quick, and we can end this segment here. But you don't see this type of praise often from Dauber. And I trust Dauber prospects. I actually am one of their leagues and happened to go there to have all of their prospect discussion there. But Dauber said the following here about Demidov. He's electrifying prospect as you'll ever see, based on elite creativity, escapability, and puck skill. And get this. You remember when a lot of times say, hey, this guy has this number in fantasy upside and this number in NHL certainty? He is the first player I've seen, and I haven't done a ton of research on him. He's the first player I've seen. He has a 10.0 in fantasy upside. Just unbelievable. He's got superstar written all over him. I haven't seen a 10.0. And he's got a 9.5 NHL certainty. So meaning he projects higher than any prospect I've actually seen. I was going to go back and see what Bedard actually projected, and it's got to be something similar, but I don't even know if Bedard actually had a 10.0 fantasy upside. I mean, I bet you anything he probably didn't. He probably had a 9.5. He's a right winger, 6'1", 192 pounds. Next year in redraft leagues, guys, get him. Okay, get him because he's going to be a rookie. And if you don't have a whole lot of guys playing in your league that are actually plugged into the know of hockey, this is going to be a guy, especially in a keeper league, you're going to want to get early and actually then stash him on your roster for years to come, because you may have to reach for him a little bit. That's okay. He's projected to be a superstar.
So also, if you're in a dynasty, a long dynasty league, he's probably already on a roster. But now is your chance. If you have a team going for the championship and they've got him sitting in their minors or their taxi squad and you're rebuilding, if you can give up an older asset and grab him in a trade to help somebody try to win a championship, now's the time to jump on it. Go look for him. Try to make the move for him. If you're a younger rebuilding team that's struggling a bit, trade some of those older players that are putting up points now to somebody that's going for a title. This if you don't get him now, I don't know when you're going to be able to get him again. Like, if you don't jump in early, it's going to be insanely difficult later on.
Yeah, here's what you do. You go ahead and let's say you're a bottom of the barrel team, and let's say you have a Kucherov. All right, Kucherov's 30. Offer Kucherov and also offer two first-round picks. Because those first-round picks, majority of them, most of the time, they're going to take at least 3 or 4 years to either develop in the AHL and NHL, or just the NHL to find their footing. This guy, if Michkov can actually come in this year and does what he's actually doing, almost a point per game player, this guy can do it. And you've seen how Montreal is starting to light it up, man. Montreal they're coming. They're like Columbus, man. They're coming. It's going to be a lot of fun. Imagine him and Caulfield on the same damn team, and Lane Hudson as well, and Suzuki. I mean, they're going to be loaded. But give up a couple first rounders and give up a guy like Kucherov and go get Demidov and start preparing for the future.
All right, it's time for one of our favorite segments of the night, where we jump into hockey strategy a little bit more, and that's our Bangers League segment. Let's bang. So our Dynasty Home League is a Bangers League. Bangers League known for penalty minutes, hits, blocks are a little more exaggerated. Get those bangers, get those guys a little bit more point total, make them a little more interesting. It helps their value. Toast, what do we got for Bangers League talk tonight?
Yeah, I do have some Bangers League discussion, JT, but let me say, hey, Canadians and Utah right now tied up 2-2 in the second with 5 minutes to go. Patrick Laine gets another goal here, his 10th of the season, and only I think 15 games played. I don't know. So I forgot to even mention him. They got Line still, and Line still young. Cole Caulfield has an assist as well. Lane Hudson's got an assist. I think the Canadians were finally favored on the road for the first time in a long time. But let's continue to watch that game. But right winger Matthew Olivier. All right. So I'm thinking, well, JT, Matthew Olivier, where do you think he's from? I mean, just if you had to guess. I mean, do you think he's U.S. born? Do you think he's Canadian? Do you think what is he?
He's probably Canadian.
Yeah, JT's born in Mississippi, man.
French?
You ever heard of a hockey player actually from Mississippi? I
honestly, I didn't know they played hockey in Mississippi. I didn't even know you could get on a league in Mississippi. That's interesting. Dude, we're from the Midwest, and there's a lot of places where we live that you can't have that people don't have hockey teams, and we're from the Midwest, so there's not a lot of hockey teams down south.
Let me read you some of these stats here for Olivier. Again, Columbus Blue Jackets, man. I mean, so he's 27. He's not as young with everybody else, but he plays with Cole Sillinger on line 3. They're gonna be so good. They're gonna be so good. I was salivate over them, but he's got 10 goals and 7 assists for 17 points in 44 games. All right, hey, fine. But here's where it gets great. All right, for a bangers league, 155 hits, 51 blocks, 52 shots on goal, and 83 PIMs. He's on pace for 170 PIMs, man. Second in the league right now in PIMs. Only to Zadorov, I think, for Boston. So think about all the PIMs you're going to get, all the hits you're going to get, the blocks you're going to get, and he's still got 10 goals on the season as well. He's 19th in our league. I don't know if you actually knew that, in our bangers league in scoring. This guy, I think he's 28%. He's 0% drafted, only 28% rostered. So if you are in a bangers league that emphasizes hits, blocks, PIMs, I bet Olivier's out there. And again, it's not like he's a fourth liner. He's actually a third liner. He's not going to get any power play time, but they're scoring goals in bunches, man. Columbus is scoring this year. This would be a good, nice pickup, especially if you get Columbus on a 4-game week schedule. Go ahead and stream Olivier, see what he actually does for you in a bangers league. You'll probably end up keeping him in a bangers league. Other than that, he probably wouldn't have a whole lot of value in points league. He probably wouldn't have a whole lot of value in Cats league, other than the hits, maybe, right? Cats league maybe for hits, but for bangers, especially if they actually value PIMs, which we do. I know 0.4 for PIMs, which is a little crazy. People's like, you get points for PIMs? You damn right we do. But Matthew Olivier, right winger, Columbus Blue Jackets, go get him. Go get him.
Toast.
The Mississippi
this
guy.
This is what makes Bangers League so interesting. And I know there's going to be traditionals who are like, "Oh, it just makes me sick listening to the stat." He is actually outscoring David Pastrnak. Pasta. He's outscoring him in our league by 0.3 points. He's got 206, 208.6 to 208.3, 4.7, 4 points per game compared to 4.53. for the pasta. That's where Bangers League can be real fun, when you can find some guys, which is, you just talked about how well he's playing. 2 spots ahead of him are Bangers League. Rickard Rakell, guy you're just talking about. 2 spots ahead of him are a league, right behind Brandon Hagel. So that, we're talking about all these guys. Hagel's right there, top 20 in our league. Rakell's right behind him, though. Those guys are both right behind Cale Makar. So I mean, in these types of leagues, you can find some gems. You can find some guys that will come through and get you some pretty good points and pretty good scoring. And if you can find, it's hard to trade for a lot of these guys straight up, but you can put some of these guys on some moves. You can put a bigger name with some of these guys, and you can get some nice production from them.
Yeah, and I guarantee this wasn't a guy in Olivier that was drafted. And I'm just looking right now. No, he wasn't drafted in our league. So, he had no plans for anybody in a dynasty draft long term. But again, a hidden gem. You notice him, you pick him up, you may stream him for maybe a year and a half, whatever. Eventually, this guy's going to get hurt, because that's what they actually do when they actually fight that much and they hit that much. He'll actually have some bruises on. He'll be a journeyman. He'll actually fly around the league a little bit. Eventually he'll lose some value. So you think, well, why would you run a league like that when basically all you have to do is load up on a bunch of bruisers? Because the bruisers don't last that long. They don't last that long. They're passed around the league a lot. The rules change here and there. They're unreliable from year to year, but you could actually stream them for a year and actually then get rid of them. So it's still a good recipe. I would, if you're starting a new league, I would highly recommend a bangers league because it gives value to a lot of players, and the free agent pool is very, very deep. So if you want to stream players, it's easy to do so, especially if you do your homework.
All right. Outside of a bangers league, they also, one of the most popular in all of fantasy hockey is categories league. Let's talk some categories.
Let's take a look at the board. And the categories are.
So this is our category segment. We talk about categories league. This is how a lot of leagues are set up. Cat league, you got your team set up. You're playing everybody together and trying to figure out, can you win each statistical category: points, goals, assists, takeaways, giveaways, face-off wins, goalie save percentage, goalie wins. However your league has it set up. Toast, who do you got? Do we want to discuss as far as categories are concerned tonight?
Hey, I tried not to have a homer pick here, and really it's not like a homer pick. He does play for the Blackhawks, but it's not like he's going to be a long-term fit here for the Blackhawks. And that's Ryan Donato, and the 28-year-old, I would say winger, but here's the deal, JT, what makes him unbelievably valuable in this categories leagues as well, especially if you value positions. He's tri-eligible, center, left wing, right wing. He actually gets eligibility for all of them. So that's number one. Number two, I think he only makes $2 million AAV. He's only 28 years old. A contender is going to want to have him down the stretch to actually play big minutes on their third and fourth line. A cup contender was going to want him this year. I will be shocked if he's on the Blackhawks here before the trade deadline. I think he'll be moved. And the Hawks will probably get in the neighborhood of somewhere, maybe if they're lucky, a second-round pick, probably a third-round pick, maybe a prospect in return. Again, the $2 million is super cheap, so the salary is he's going to get some consideration there. But I like Donato in a Cats league because he does have 13 goals on the season. I think that leads the Blackhawks, honestly. I think Bedard's got 13. I think they're tied in 42 games. 102 shots on goal. Here's what I like: 76 hits, 103 faceoff wins. So he's going to face off from time to time as well. And he's got a 1.00, so he's got an even goal giveaway takeaway differential. And that's actually in most category leagues. So he's going to help you in giveaway takeaways. And a 1.0, that's really, really good. You're even, right? I mean, that's really, really solid. You don't get a whole lot of players that are even, and he's actually one of them. So he's going to help win you a category, and he's going to be studying the others. So so I like Donato to actually be moved, but this is definitely a guy you want to go ahead and target in those category leagues, and especially if it's a cap category league, go get him because he's a guy you can actually move and actually get some value for.
All right, Toast, that's gonna do it for us tonight. Any final thoughts? 2 games tomorrow night, big slate on Thursday, and then only 2 on Friday before a big slate again on Saturday. So make sure you're checking out those Toast takes. Different nights, what you can like, what you can see, all kinds of ones. We got long shot bets for you. We got, your straight up bets, whatever you kind of want to take, falls for those. Check those out. You can find Toast at Toast Clark and at Fifth Hockey. You can find those Toast takes pretty much every day. Occasionally it gets a little busy and it doesn't get it in there, but whenever we can, usually those are in there, and I'll actually repost those on my my page at JT Orange. Also, if I got a crazy hockey bet, I like the long ones, I'll throw those by JT Parlay Play of the Day on my page as well. Any final thoughts here, Toast, before we say goodbye to the people?
Hey, JT, you and I are set to actually, I think, go to a Hawks game at Columbus to on the 22nd of February. Hopefully we're going to still do that. That's going to be a ton of fun. We should be able to get pretty good tickets close up to the glass, I would imagine, at a place like Columbus where it's a pretty easy ticket to get. And to be able to actually watch a bunch of young superstars, man. You got Connor Bedard going to be in that game. You got Lane Hudson in that game. Cole Caulfield as well. Patrick Laine. So this should be a lot of fun. Good from a gambling perspective, good from a fantasy perspective, and actually good from a fantasy dynasty perspective as well. So that'd be a ton of fun going to Columbus there, but look forward to it. And the Canadians actually just took the lead going in the intermission. They're up 3-2. Kirby Dach, the ex-Hawk, just actually got a goal. And again, Lane Hudson with another assist.
Guy is on absolute fire. Rest of the night, Jets put it away 6-1. Another big game for Kyle Connor. Throughout the night, Bruins a big 6-2 win as well. We talked about the Blue Jackets and their 3-2 win, and the Sharks 6-3 over the Red Wings. Rangers up 2-1 going into the third against Colorado. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Please check us out, the Around the Ice podcast on Fantasy in Frames. Check us out again on the X at Fifth Hockey. Please follow us there, like and subscribe.
Thumbs up
to our podcast. Also, everything else on Fantasy in Frames, all kinds of good stuff over there. Everything you could want, football-wise, fantasy football. We know we're in the playoffs. Things will come down, but we've got a ton of draft stuff for everybody that's a big draft geek like me. I love the draft. It's one of my favorite things of the entire year. I just turned in my Ted McMillan rookie article and my Ashton Genty rookie article for DLF. So, make sure we're going to have all kinds of football action for you, and we're going to bring you the hockey all year long. So we've got hockey stuff for you. Make sure you hit the notification button. Most of our shows are going to continue to be here on Tuesday nights, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, but we are going to have some nights where we have to switch it up for personal reasons, as we all have stuff here in the end of the winter, beginning of the spring. So we are going to have some nights where we have to do some Wednesday nights and do some stuff. So we are going to definitely do that. Jamie jumps in here. He says, better get Chris going on some college stuff. Exactly. We'll get Chris Bastille, who's our college expert, usually does the Monday Night 1 Foot Down podcast. We'll get him in there. I'm going to have him on my other show, The Stew with JT Brew, where I do all college football and NFL gambling content, and also a ton of draft content. So also go over and follow our channel there at The Stew with JT Brew and like us there as well. Really appreciate everybody checking us out. Thanks for everybody who's watched the show tonight. We will have Aaron back next week. He told us he's going to be on the show. He had some personal stuff he had to do tonight. Couldn't get on the show, but I appreciate Toast being here. Toast, you can follow him again at Toast Clark. Get all the Toast takes, and you can follow me at JT Orange. So make sure you do that. Everybody, thanks so much. Have a good night. Toast. Have a good one. We'll see you guys later. This has been Around the Ice on Fantasy in Frames.